What I'm going to talk about today is about value extraction. And I'm not going to give you this lecture on, oh, here are different business models, and this is what you do, and what is freemium? Who knows freemium? Who plays games? Yeah. Who's bought Pokemon Go uplifts? Oh, by the way, you guys, if you're playing Pokemon Go, go to the stadium. From what I hear, there's a spawner there, and they just keep popping up. Okay? No. You can go during lunch. You can go sit on the steps. All right. So I'm talking about just to make you think about making money. Okay? Because if you don't make money, your business isn't going to, no matter how good the technology is, your business is not going to be sustainable. And you have a great idea, a great product, and you will have to close down. So, a little bit about myself. I'm actually born in Taiwan. Is anyone here from Taiwan? Oh, I'm so disappointed. Usually Taiwanese are in all the engineering classes. Okay. I'm a mechanical engineer from Stanford, but there's 4 Berkeley students, huh? But that's okay. I got my business degree from Berkeley. And actually, like I said, I was really interested in energy, so my mechanical engineering focus was in thermal and in fluids. And then when I graduated from school the first time, I went and worked as an engineer for Exxon and Pepsi. And then I transitioned to working for 6 startups. So I've been on the founding team of 6 startups, and here are some of them. We won't go into it today. 2 of them succeeded, 4 of them failed. I learned a lot more from the failures. And let me ask you a question. How many of you remember when you screwed something up, like a midterm or a final? And how many remember everything you did right? No. So you learn so much more when you fail. And I bet you remember that one problem you really screwed up. Have you taken DiffyQs yet? Okay. So right now, I'm an industry fellow and faculty at Satarja Center. And for the non-Berkeley people, Satarja Center is the Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology in the Berkeley Engineering School. And we're right up at the stadium. That's why I know there's tons of Pokemons there. Room 122 if you want to stop by. And I teach the Bootcamp, which is the general boot camp for for Berkeley students. And I run a consulting firm where we do innovation and consulting to other schools and also to enterprises like SAP. And this is a high-tech forum I'm on and advisor to a bunch of stuff. So I've been in a lot of really cool startups. I've also experienced a lot of failure. And a lot of this presentation comes out of me going into business thinking, oh, technology is the most important, engineering is the most important, and then realizing you gotta figure out how to make money. How many of you guys have started something, a company? Oh, good. What's your project?
Teacher Loop. Teacher Loop, it was an ed tech startup where we were trying to make sort of a GitHub for teachers.
Ooh.
And we got some funding, did some projects, but now then the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they funded another startup doing pretty much the same thing, and they kind of surrounded the market and cornered us. So
Yeah, but now you're here and you're going to design something really awesome.
I'll try.
So what's your company?
It's not really anything as of right now. It's kind of a company revolved around getting energy from nuclear waste.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Now, are you developing that in this class?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Possibly.
Okay,
maybe.
that makes me want to come and listen to the final presentations. It's next Friday, isn't it? Okay, because my boot camp starts the following Monday, so I'm going to be a little stressed out. So, just for fun, who's that? Yeah, that's what I used to look like. I was a refinery engineer at this refinery. You see those 2 tall cables, the 2 smokestacks? There's 2 sets of them. And you see, there's actually a figure-8 rope around it. So I had to design that because back then, it's really close to the bay. This is just north of, it's on the way to Tahoe. Those would oscillate in the wind. And then if they hit harmonic. And so we designed a figure-8 cable that ties them there, and so they won't go too crazy. And my signature's up there in a Sharpie. So I was a refinery engineer, then I went to Quaker Oats and actually put in equipment to make Ghirardelli chocolate. So if you go to San Francisco, the wrappers are mine. But one thing is you really learn from tough projects. So the thing is to dive in, take on tough stuff. Don't worry about failing, because if you fail, you'll learn. And at Quaker Oats, there's a huge warehouse of failed projects by engineers. It's really awesome. And there's this one project which was for Smog Hog. There was 5 different efforts to do something to catch the smog or catch the chocolate vapors coming out of chocolate, right? And they failed, and they failed, and they put them in the warehouse, and they failed. And then finally, the last one we did, Smog Hog, used sort of an electrical field to catch the particles. So just go in, you learn. You would have never thought to catch the vapors, you would use, they used all sorts of filters, all sorts of stuff, fluids, but it would end up being an electrical field that caught those and prevent, because if you put vapor in California, it get fined so badly. So anyway, so moving on, let's go to business models. And the presentation should be uploaded. I sent it to Rachel yesterday. Okay, so it's how to make money. And a big part of what you guys have learned originally is value proposition. How to create something that is valuable, that addresses a need of a customer, right? So you back there in the white and gray shirt, you started a project, right? You're working on a project. What was the need you addressed, and what was the customer? Who was the customer?
Military for needing extremely light power sources.
And who are you selling it to?
Working on selling it to the Navy.
To the Navy. Oh, very cool. So that's the value proposition side. Finding a need, developing a product for someone who has that need, okay? But to have a business, you have to look at value extraction. How are you going to make money off of it? And going back to when I was first working, I was listening to this guy. It was after my MBA. I was listening to this guy talk, and he said, "I've always been an entrepreneur." At that time, he was COO of Webvan, which was funded for like $100 million. And he said, "I've always been an entrepreneur." He said, when I was in my MBA program at UCLA, I would take notes and I would sell them to my fellow students. He goes, that's how I paid for my living expenses when I was at UCLA. And I was thinking to myself, God, well, when I was at Haas, you know what I did? I took really good notes because I'm a good Chinese student, right? And I made copies. And if I saw any classmates missing, I'd make a set for them and go, oh, here, John, you missed last week's class, here's a copy. Okay? Why didn't I think about making money? I could have made money. I could have had no school loans coming out, right? Because I didn't think about value extraction. So that's why if you're going to do a business, you guys got to think about how to make money. How do you cover the cost? How do you make a profit so you can invest more money in research and grow more? So there's a lot of historical models, you know. How are you going to sell your product?
I plan on contacting major energy providers revolving around the data rates like Southern Company or Exelon. So that's pretty much it.
So you're going to sell your product. Do you see what I'm saying? So you're thinking of selling what you have, which is a traditional model, right? Like licensing software, renting, advertising, especially for media, are traditional models. But if you look at today's world, it's the innovative business models that are catching the investors' attention. And they transform processes. They transform how we do things, right? And really, it's gone like this crazy because of the digital world. We can support so many more types of business models with the digital world. So here are some of the companies which became big because of the digital world. You guys all know Uber, right? You know, their business model isn't to buy a whole bunch of taxis and then put them on the street. right? Their business model was to get other people to cover the costs, the drivers to cover the cost of the taxis. iTunes, completely transformed it, because now when you buy music and mobile content, you actually pay Apple. Apple gets 30%. In the past, it was always the telcos that got 30%. Or Solar City, I'm going to talk more about it later. So what happens is, if you look back, there's market trends. So through the 50s, 60s, whatever, every decade you can see some market trends, right? Some things that happen in the market. Like in the 1980s, you have built to order, just-in-time manufacturing. So what happens is, with those, you have new types of companies that emerge. So in the 90s, when the internet revolution happened, then Amazon emerged as a place to buy books on the internet versus going to a bookstore. Or Southwest, now you book your tickets online, they don't have to pay for expensive offices, they don't have to pay for ticketing staff. It's completely changed the way we travel. So if you look right now to the 2000s, since 2000, what are some of the trends that have completely changed the way we live?
Apps.
What? Apps. And what did someone else say?
Same thing, mobile.
Mobile, yeah.
GPS tracking.
GPS. Now we have GPS is basically on the phone, has put out a business. TomTom, Garmin, all these other companies.
Pokemon.
What?
Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the smartphones now, it's even changing things even more, right? And so think about that. So if you're looking at new areas, one of the areas to look is, what are some of the market trends and how do we take advantage of them? So, math, right? You guys are doing DiffyQs. Don't forget your mathematics or arithmetic. And here's the thing, is people get really into fancy talking about, the business model and this and that, and coming up with really complicated financing. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, it's like all of engineering goes back to physics, right? So really, all of business goes back to this equation. And when you look at it, anything that affects one of these variables, okay, affects the business model. So if something just affects the revenues, that's the revenue model, okay? Any way that you can increase your profits by the difference in revenues and costs really helps your business model. So some of the challenges, okay, who was born here before 1990? Oh, okay. I don't feel so bad. Okay, so 1998, this is Google. And everyone was using Google. And they got $1 million of funding, but they have no way to make money. Okay? And then, so what they did was they set a challenge to all their employees, come up with ideas to make money. And so one engineer came up with the idea of Adwords, where we can promote different advertisers higher, and they bid. And it's an automatic bid system to go higher and higher. So basically, they don't have to do anything. They just advertisers go bid, and they put in more money with their credit cards. It goes up, 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 and no one has to even talk to them on the phone. So it's like a real amazing money. It's like have you guys ever played pachinko? It's a Japanese pinball. You go like this, and then money just comes out. So now AdWords actually generates most of Google's revenues. How much do you think Google made in 2014? Huh?
100 billion maybe.
100 billion? Ooh, yes, you're gonna be good. 66 billion. So Google made 66 billion, and like 80% of that was from AdWords. So now you look at some other companies. LinkedIn, are you guys on LinkedIn? Okay, get on LinkedIn, okay, because then people can find you, you can find people. LinkedIn, they have an advertising business model. They also have a premium. Basically, you can pay $25 a month and get more info. And they also have a third business model, which makes a third of the revenues. Can you guys know what it is?
Jobs.
Jobs, you're close, yeah. It's related to recruiters pay for extra services to find the right people. And in the world, when you start getting jobs, if you get jobs, is that a recruiter pretty much gets paid, I'm trying to think, depending on how important the job is, 6 months to a year of your pay. Yeah. Well, because if they recruit a really, really good executive, that executive can help generate $10 million more. It's worth it to pay $1 million for that person. So recruiters make a lot of money. That's why they have money, they're willing to pay for this tool. Okay. Now, how many are on Twitter? It's under the But anyway, so Twitter is failing. They have tons and tons of users, but they haven't been able to figure out a business model. So imagine a world without Twitter. So here's another basic thing to think about. Who is the customer? And not your customer, but define a customer. What does a customer do?
Buy product.
Buy your product. What?
Pay money.
Pay money.
Doesn't have to be buying products.
They want things.
They want things. You're missing one.
They want a service.
They want a service. They will use the product. So when you think about your customers, think about the different roles. So pizza rolls, okay? Have you ever had these? They're really good. They're on sale at Safeway, okay? When you're hungry, you toss them in the oven. 15 minutes later, you have these yummy hot things that taste like pizza, and you don't have to order the expensive $15 pizza from the pizza store, okay? So this is the user. That's my son. He's like, Mommy, please buy me Totinos. I found them. They're on sale at Safeway today, okay? But he's the user. I'm the buyer. So I'm the one that buys it, right? And look how big he got on Totinos. And another part of customer is the partner. If Safeway doesn't carry them, I can't buy them. So as you're developing your product and service, think about who is the user, who is the buyer, and who is a partner that you absolutely require. And you have to engage all three. Okay, if my son wants to eat them and Safeway has them, but I refuse to buy crap like this, but I'm not such a good mother. None of this. I'm not into too much organic food for my kids. In fact, I think the milk that has hormones makes them grow faster. So, okay, but do you see, you have to appeal to all three of those people to have a successful business. So, another thing is think about who has the money, right? If, like, Totino's or Kentucky Fried Chicken has all these ads that appeal to my son, right? But they're not appealing to the person with money, they're not going to succeed. So here's an example of, this is a plant-based organic pesticide developed in Chaoyang University in Taiwan. And it's really cool. This is a nice organic pesticide to prevent worms from eating the tea leaves, right? So who should the university look at selling this product to? Who would need it the most? Tea manufacturers? Farmers? Okay. Well, they first started with the farmers because the farmers were desperate that their crops were getting chewed up and they weren't getting the yield. But the farmers had no money. They couldn't invest up front for this expensive pesticide and then have a huge yield at the end. So that was a no-go. So finally, they did sell it to the tea manufacturers because if you see this box of tea right here, that box of tea costs $100 because it's really special. It's a special gift in Asia, right? And the tea manufacturers bought the pesticide, gave it to the farmers, said use it, and then when they bought the leaves from the farmers, they packaged the tea and sold it as organic and sold that box for $200. Okay? So go after who has the money. The farmers didn't have the money, but the tea manufacturers make a shitload of money from cans of tea. Okay? So it's like if your mom and dad have, both have money, or your, where your dad works and he has more money, who do you usually go ask for your car? Your dad. Okay? So business models change. This is 1992. This is my very first printer. Cost me $2,000. And how much does a printer cost nowadays? Or free with your computer. Okay, so how can HP go from selling a piece of equipment for $2,000 down to $100?
They have to make their investment back. So initially, it has to be much more expensive.
Maybe. Yes, no, maybe so. Come on.
Technology gets cheaper.
Oh,
every
that's
year.
part of it. You guys have like the beginnings of it.
So they're also
Technology?
What?
Different technology?
No. Well, they did improve technology, but how are they making their money now?
so they're also not just selling printers, but they're selling
The-
things that they
That's it. HP now changed their model. It's not a hardware model anymore. Not about selling hardware. They're pretty much giving the hardware and they're selling ink. And if you guys go to Costco, which has the cheapest ink, it's still $50 a package. So trust me, I've spent more than $2,000 on ink. Because with my HP laser printer, I only had to buy ink, or the cartridges, once the whole time I owned it. With this, I'm buying it every 3 months. So something to think about is recurring revenue has a much more value. So if I'm an investor, I don't want to see you selling something once, even if it's $2 million. Because once your $2 million is in, you spend it, okay, now I got to support you, okay? So recurring revenue, where you keep collecting money, is better. That's why subscriptions are really popular, okay? Yeah, I'll tell you more about subscriptions later on. Okay, here's another example of how business models change. This is a company, a startup in Spain. So they're selling an IoT solution, collecting data, equipment to analyze it. And they're doing the traditional model right now. They sell it to a distributor, who sells to an integrator, who sells it to the customer. Or they sell it to the integrator and then to the customer. Okay, but what they have is that they expect their business model to change because they're collecting data. So as they collect more and more data and they amass it, they're going to start selling data in the future. So they don't have to keep selling equipment and making it. It's more about collecting the data and selling it. So as you guys think about your business, think of other ways to make money, other ways where there might be more money. Okay, and nothing is really free. So this is a restaurant in the Netherlands. I went in going, yay, I'm by myself. I'm going to get free internet, right? I log in. No, you got to here's a Facebook. You have to like us on Facebook before we let you have the internet. Did you know that a Facebook like is worth $174 in advertising? So the restaurant can advertise, and by advertising, it'll drive the same number of new customers as people liking it and their friends seeing it. So I'm basically, by liking them, I'm giving them $174 worth of advertising. And my dinner's $20. So don't you think they should give that to me for free? Not just free. So internet, nothing is ever really free, okay? So make it easy to collect dollars. Down now, if you buy a computer, here's the payment page. Visa, credit, PayPal, a gift card. And they're even taking Bitcoin now. Because they're going to get your money somehow, in no matter which way or form. Next time they might change it for Pokemon boosts or something. So overcoming barriers to adoption, this is something to think about in getting adoption and to get your product out there and generating revenue. How much is your product? The waste.
How much is it?
Yeah, how much do you think someone has to pay to initially use your service?
106 billion.
106 billion. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like one person?
I mean, sorry, 1.06 billion.
So if I'm a company, if I'm a company to use your product, I have to come up with $1 billion. Okay. How many people have that much spending approval? So you might want to think about how you make it palatable. Okay? So Wholesale Solar is a company that sells solar power systems to homes. It costs $50,000 to buy a system, right? Who has a solar system in their home or their parents' home? And how much did your parents pay?
Like, I think it was like 300 euros,
300 euros?
something like that. Not too much.
Not too much. So I don't think they bought all the equipment.
Maybe closer to like, maybe anywhere from like 300 to like 1,000 euros. But it was,
Okay.
they definitely make their money back.
Yeah?
You get, I mean, in the UK, you could probably pay that because you get a lot of government grants that top that up. So you can pay a really minimal amount and they'll put some solar
Oh,
panels in your.
very interesting, very interesting. Okay, well, you get some grants in the US, but it doesn't cover your 50,000. So most people really did not put in solar. Yeah?
Aren't most people who are buying solar actually renting it their payback program where they don't get the revenue immediately?
Yeah, yeah.
when it's installed?
Do you want to come up here and give the second part of the
Okay,
slide?
sorry.
No, good. No, exactly. You got it. He's right. So Solar City, what they realized is people don't have the money to buy their own system. So they raised a lot of money and they bought a ton of equipment and they did give a buy option, but they give a lease option. So you don't have to pay anything, you just pay monthly. So we have a solar panels on our house and we didn't pay for them, or we paid some minimal amount, and then every month we just pay rent to Solar City, and then it generates power. And we have a big house, we have a pool that takes heating, and our bills are $50 a month, okay, because of solar. And so for us, it's worth it, and we didn't have to shell out 50,000. Solar City also makes money from the tax grants for doing solar equipment, and then they also make money from generating excess energy. So if our house generates more energy than we use, it can be sold back to the utility. So do you see what they did? They figured out new ways of making money versus just selling the technology. So that's what would be great for you guys to do. Yes?
Just because we're a room of nuclear engineers, that exists, they only have that option because of all of the regulatory framework that allows them to do that. I mean, they're taking customers from the utility and then taking advantage of the infrastructure existing
Right.
of the utility to then make the utility pay for electricity that the utility doesn't even necessarily need.
Right.
So, I mean, do you have other examples that are?
You know what? I don't have any examples of nuclear because I think.
Oh, no, not nuclear.
Of
just
other
like
ones?
Ones that are less.
Yeah, I do. I have an awesome one at the end, okay? Which, it's not regulatory, it's taking advantage of how something works. So, good, very good point. Just what I want you guys to do is just think of, when the original way to approach it doesn't seem to work, how do you go around it? How do you think of another way? And it's usually a business model way, not a technology way.
Chris, a good example would be Rolls-Royce. They don't sell jet engines. They sell hours of flight. So they give you a very reduced cost if you buy a jet engine from them, and then they maintain your jet engine, do all the repairs as they need, whatever. So you pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee, and we'll have to they don't work on the cost at once.
Exactly. So what he's showing is it's a recurring revenue. When someone gets a Rolls-Royce engine, when they use it, they pay for the number of hours they use it, right? And that's how they pay. So Rolls-Royce keeps getting money every time a plane flies versus selling an engine and walking away. And especially if you don't maintenance the engine breaks, they don't use it, and people talk bad about Rolls-Royce. So what this did was this business model concept addressed the barrier to adoption. It lowered it so people could actually afford to adopt it, and it increased the revenues. So I'm trying to bring everything back to that math equation, okay? Business model trumps technology. Yes, I had to put in my little Trump comment here today. Yeah?
Do you have a model where you have the reoccurrence of revenue when
when you have subscription, one is subscription, and you want to sell a company or close a company at some point in time, what do you have to do?
If you sell subscriptions and you want to close the company, well, if you're getting subscriptions, okay, chances are someone will buy your company because you've got a revenue stream there. So you could say, hey, well, we're canceling our service, and that's that. And people, like if Twitter dies, okay, we're gonna have to figure out some other way to broadcast ourselves. So, but if you have subscription stream coming on, that's a recurring revenue stream, chances are someone will wanna buy it.
If you are, so like in the solar panel example, this isn't about regulatory stuff. If you have the solar panel example, and say your company goes bankrupt or something, you need to repossess your stuff. You can't really because it costs money to take it back.
Yeah, and it's not worth it.
So you just take it.
You write it off,
So,
write it off.
So it is one, I mean, not a huge risk, but it is a risk.
It is a risk, and it has happened. Wait till you see the graphics on the slide. Did you have a question?
Yeah, it's just I think that's what happened to Skype. They had obviously a bunch of subscribers, but they were losing money hand over fist. And Microsoft was stepping in for. Even though they were loss making, Microsoft could see they could do other things.
Well, exactly. Microsoft uses Skype, and it's enhancing their business in other ways, so the value is there. And yes, I'm still paying Skype. So I'm still paying Microsoft. Okay, so when I said business model trumps technology, I'm just being tongue-in-cheek, okay? So, Solyndra, have you guys heard of this company? They made this really cool technology for tubes for solar panels, okay? And my husband worked for them. And one day he walked in, and he's told that he no longer had a job, and he no longer had benefits, because the company went belly up. They got $500 million of loan guarantees, and they went belly up. But they had great technology. But the problem with great technology is the Chinese market was so competitive, them selling technology at a margin didn't work. But then I was driving down Highway 880 by Fremont, that's to the south, for those of you who don't know. And guess what I saw? The building was bought by Solar City. I thought that was insanely funny. And Solar City's market cap now, I checked yesterday, is $2.4 billion, okay? They're both in solar. And Solyndra had the coolest, latest and greatest technology. It was a tube, so it didn't catch dust and crap because it's a tube. Oh, it's just freaking awesome. To the point that, Obama guaranteed $500 million of funds to fund them. And then they went belly up because it was just technology and they couldn't keep up with pricing from China. And look at Solar City, is worth $2.4 billion, and all they did is a business model. So I just thought it was kind of really ironic. But, so I'm not going to go through this. You guys know free, so I'm not, this one's just saying, offering something for free, and then you can people like it, pay for hire. Okay, licensing versus selling licenses. So Bell Labs developed a holographic storage solution. So it's really cool. You basically store with holographic lights, and it's really super dense, okay? They licensed the technology to a startup in Colorado called Aconia. Now Aconia then licenses the technology, pays a yearly fee, and then Aconia sells products to people in the industry, okay? Versus when you buy a software, this is a software, Norton sells a license to use it, okay? I just want to clarify because I got confused going technology license, software license, and I was like, I'm so confused because it doesn't seem to make sense. So this slide is mainly to tell the difference between licensing technology and licensing software, okay? What I'm going to do here is just go quickly through some concepts that have evolved in terms of business models in the world, mainly based on the market trends, okay? So collaborative consumption, I mean, it's a great idea. It's like we all have stuff we don't use, right? But with the internet, we can put it on the internet and get people to collaborate with us in consuming what we have. That's why it's called collaborative consumption. Here, you can have a car in California, and instead of parking the car here in the garage and paying $20, you leave it on the street and people come and rent your car. And So Relay Rides is a service where you can go and find a car and rent it. And for the person who has a car, you not only decrease your costs because you don't pay for parking, you also generate revenue. What could be better? So crowdsourcing is another one where everyone thinks crowdsourcing, it's really basic. Okay, what's an example of crowdsourcing?
Got to get a new film going, so you start one of my friends did it this last month, and she just put an advert out for people to fund their film.
Yeah,
and
so,
people gave her money.
yeah, okay, exactly.
Kickstarter?
Kickstarter, got it. See, you guys are like giving the next couple of slides. So, user-generated content is what you're talking about. You get other people to generate the content. And YouTube was really the first one to do that. I thought that was insanely stupid, why kids would go and watch these stupid videos, but they did. Okay. I don't know, when YouTube first came out, there was a stupid muffin man. Anyways, okay. Okay. Another way of crowdsourcing is, anyone here from Germany? Anyone read German? Okay. So, can you read the slide? So eBay, when it first came out, what would happen is they ran an escrow service. So the buyer would send their money to eBay. eBay would send an email to the seller that we received the money. The seller would send the product to the buyer, and the buyer said they were happy, then eBay would send the money. So this is a whole escrow service that eBay ran in the beginning that cost a lot of money, because you have to collect money, you have to hold it, you have to send it out. It was an expensive part of the eBay service. Okay, but who's bought something on eBay recently? Okay, do you have to send your money to escrow anymore? Why not?
PayPal.
Well, no, PayPal's still a payment system, but eBay doesn't hold your money. Because what made you decide to buy from that seller?
I knew I wouldn't get screwed over.
Huh?
I knew I wouldn't get screwed over because it's through eBay. It's a safe service and it's a respectful service.
The
That's
reviews?
my reason.
It's the reviews. Like, I don't buy anything from someone who's under a 99, you know. And so by setting up the system where the crowd evaluates each other, they do all the work, and now you choose to make a transaction based on the work that everyone else did, eBay removed their escrow service and reduced costs and increased profit. So they used the crowd, they used all of us users to remove the escrow service, because they used all of us users to establish trust. So you can crowdsource brainpower. This presentation, I actually got asked to do it in Europe on July 8th, and I didn't want to work on it, so I crowdsourced and asked all my friends to send me ideas. And if you guys are all scientists, you know Fold It. Yeah, you get all the kids around the nation to spend time folding these protein molecules, and it can only be done manually. It can't be done by machine learning. So the kids do it 15 minutes a week. You know, and I was writing this presentation, and my son goes, "Wow, Mom, why do you have Fold It on there?" I go, "Because I'm doing present." I go, "How do you know?" He goes, "Oh, our teacher makes us do it 15 minutes a week." And I'm like, "Wait a moment, they're using my kid? They're crowdsourcing my kid when he should be studying?" Okay. Okay, who said Kickstarter? Okay. Indiegogo, another way to get money. You don't have to go to a VC and beg and grovel. You can put it online and get the crowd to fund it. Okay, the last thing is monetizing data. Monetizing data is one of the biggest trends right now because we're collecting a lot of data. Every time you do something, there's data being generated. Every time the lights go on, whatever, there's sensors. So there's all this data. And this company, Blue Kai, sent its, goes out there and scrubs data from the internet, and then they package it and they sell it. And they were making like $300 million in 5 years, just going out there and scrubbing data. Yeah, it's some guy from HP Labs. And Oracle bought them for like $1 billion, okay? So this company does shopping apps, okay? How do shopping apps make money?
By featuring specific products.
Featuring products and getting money for promoting those products that, you know.
Companies will pay to be on their app.
order.
pay to be on their app, or transactions. So those are the traditional ways to make money. But this company, Blue Kangaroo, has like 6 million users. And what they're doing is actually collecting data. When people go to the shopping app, what do they do? Where do they go? What stores do they go to? And they're selling data. So they're actually using Oracle to sell the data they collect. Okay? So, you guys use Google. Who has paid money to Google this year? Okay, who's used Google? Okay, now, keep your hands up. Who's used Google? Now, those of you who have paid money to Google, keep your hands up. The rest, put your hands down. Oh, you paid Google. What did you pay for?
Oh no, I thought you were gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So how do they make money? They're giving all these services for free because they're basically stealing our data. Okay, we agreed to let them do it, but all they're doing is collecting our data when we use their services and selling it. Okay, so selling's not a new concept. I love Safeway. I really do. I'm a Safeway super shopper. So you see these scanners? Okay, so they were put in the late, like around 1990 for cost control, for inventory, and it was a cost center. Okay? Then what happened is there's a Berkeley professor doing market research. Him and a group of people worked with Safeway and said, as we scan all this stuff, we're collecting all this data on what people buy and their trends. If someone buys milk, they buy Cheerios, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And they package it to sell it, and now Safeway makes $10 million a month from the data they collect through that scanners. So they've turned a cost center into a revenue center. I mean, that's just brilliant, isn't it?
Who are they selling this data to exactly?
Marketers like food companies who want to know that who should, what do the consumers do? What are their trends? Okay. This is another one company that does an app for doing skin cancers, and they've collected like the biggest database of melanomas because people will scan it and send it into their server. And so now they have this database that's really very valuable. Okay, my last slide is, okay, how many people are playing Pokemon Go? It's okay. Okay, I'll take you to the stadium after this, okay? So, this is my son. He's 24, he's an engineer, he's mechatronics, and he designs and builds stuff, right? And when he was in college, that's his customer, that's me, he was making $1,800 a month as an intern. Like, he paid for my lunch. I was like really excited. He's making money. And then he comes home one day, and you have to understand, when Max had a World of Warcraft account, when he was around 9th grade, I canceled it, okay? He's getting a D in English, okay? And I canceled it. I went online and canceled it, and they were like, why are you quitting? And I go, this is his mom, and he's getting a D in English. And then they wrote back to me no, mommy. Okay, so Max comes home, and he says to me, Mom, you screwed me. You see, Patrick, that's Max's cousin. He goes, Patrick, he dropped out of college, quit his job, and he's making $2,000 a month playing games. He's like, Mom, okay. How does he do that? Okay, with Twitch. Anybody watch Twitch? Yeah. So you go to Twitch and you can watch people playing games and see what they do. The best gamers have like 10,000 people watching them, okay? And then Twitch sells advertising because there's 10,000 people watching. So they'll play a game and it'll flash some advertising for a while, play another game, flash advertising, and then Twitch shares the advertising money with the gamer. So the gamer will go on Twitch and play. Okay? So whoever thought, And another thing here is Twitch actually started out as a company called Justin TV, which was a streaming platform. And they would stream video for free. Okay? And Justin TV was doing an advertising for free streaming, and it didn't work. They were about to close down, and the CEO asked the vice presidents, take our technology and respin it in a different business. And one of the vice presidents came up with Twitch. And so Justin TV went to a bankrupt company to being sold to Amazon for almost $1 billion. No change in technology, just a change in the business model. So that is my last slide. I have one really, do I have time for one quick example?
You do.
Okay, so what I did in the slide deck is you can go and look at some challenges about different businesses, and you have to figure out how to make money, how they make money, okay? But the very last one, this is one of my favorites, okay, is the free conference bridge. So there's a service called freeconference.com. How many people have been on a conference call? Okay, so you understand, every 1,000, right? Well, companies like Cisco and Citrix charge like $50 a month for a bridge. Okay, so I have my own bridge. Okay, but free conference, if you go to their website, you can sign up and get a free conference bridge. Okay, well, how did they do it? When other people are charging $50 a month, how can free conference do it for free? Any ideas? Anyone here from telco? Or are you all nuclear engineering? Okay, so, all right. Obviously, you're from the UK, right?
Yep.
Okay, who's your carrier?
From a mobile.
Don't ask me.
What?
Don't ask Mark that.
It's a 3.
What?
3.
3, okay, it's 3. Okay, so 3, when you call San Francisco, so do you have a girlfriend here in the Bay Area?
No.
Oh, but if you had a girlfriend in the Bay Area.
Back in the UK.
Oh, she's back in the UK, but if you break up with her and go out with someone here. Okay, so you would get on your 3 phone and you'd call your new girlfriend on her AT&T phone in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Who do you pay to call your girlfriend in San Francisco?
Oh, AT&T and 3.
No. Do you get a bill from AT&T?
That's true.
No. You pay 3.
Yeah.
And then 3 pays AT&T a termination charge to drop off a call in in San Francisco. Okay, so that's called a termination charge. So what Free Conference did is there's a bunch of telephone switches out in remote areas which aren't being used because they don't have very many people there. You know, there's in northern Minnesota, there's 1,000 people there, okay? Versus here, there's 100,000. And so they have this excess capacity on the switches in northern Minnesota. So Free Conference went to those operators and said, give us some numbers. We're gonna distribute them. So my conference bridge, Free Conference Bridge, is in northern Minnesota. And when I pass that number out to 10 people, they all call that bridge. And so all those calls, people calling from England, people calling from China, their operators end up paying that northern Minnesota operator, okay? And then Free Conference shares some of that money with the operators, share some of that money with Free Conference for helping drive traffic to their switches. Isn't that brilliant? So what they did was identify excess capacity, understood how the telco world worked, and took advantage of some excess capacity and turned it into a revenue generator. So that is it. You guys can go and look at the presentation. You have another speaker now, so think about making money. Please, and design your nuclear stuff very safe. Thank you.